A separate but related note, a court ruling last week here in Missouri on the ballot language for voter ID. I touched on this briefly on Friday when we learned about it, but State Senator Scott Rupp wanted to come on and talk about this just a little bit, and there was this editorial in the Post yesterday that, of course, praised the decision by the Cole County judge. Let me, Senator Rupp, welcome to the show. Let me ask you first your reaction to the decision on the ballot language last week.
Well, I mean, I'm not surprised. We've seen, activist judges try to, push agendas and things, and I think that's actually what was happening, especially with the wording that the ruling came down with. And then the Post-Dispatch, again, just once again perpetuating this myth that it's actually you're trying to disenfranchise people when in fact, you can't even go in the Blockbuster and rent a movie without showing your photo ID. And it's just kind of ludicrous.
Well, they do keep trying to repeat that, and this has happened from state to state. So here's one of my questions. What can you guys do now? Because this still can appear on the ballot in the fall, is my understanding, but you have to change the language, the ballot language?
Yeah, what we can do is we can come back. Well, number one, we can appeal. It was just a lower court in Cole County. So we can appeal and go through the process and go all the way up to the Supreme Court. Or we can come back with another SJR, which goes around the governor, and we can put it back out on the ballot. So, there's options for us there. But, the funny thing is there's other states that are doing similar things. Like if you look at Minnesota, you have a Democrat Secretary of State that has linked up the photo books, your driver's license picture with the voter rolls. So when you go in to vote, they pull up your picture. So, I mean, there's Democrat Secretary of States that are doing this around the country. So, again, this argument that they're trying to disenfranchise people is a complete joke.
Let me read from the what I would refer to as the comical editorial. Republican primary voters know what you're trying to accomplish. This is you, the state legislature, and they're on board. You want to limit the number of African Americans in St. Louis and Kansas City and college students in Columbia and elsewhere who might vote for President Barack Obama and other Democrats. And in the process, if a few folks in wheelchairs, elderly nuns, and legal immigrants who are naturalized in the U.S. citizens are denied the right to vote, then even better. That's the repeated contention, Scott.
Yeah, and I mean that's just complete mantra what they throw out every single time, just to try to scare seniors, to scare those people that the Republicans are out to get them. It's a complete farce. Everyone knows that in today's society, it is something that you have to have and have to function. And we do know that our right to vote is something that is most important to us, and that should be safeguarded in every way possible.
Why do you think they keep repeating that? I mean, one of the things that I said on Friday is that if this thing ends up on the ballot, there's little doubt that it's going to pass, and not only pass, but pass overwhelmingly.
Oh, yeah, it's a 70-some% polling issue. I mean, most Americans out there understand this for what it is that, hey, it's harder to commit fraud if you have these safeguards in place, whether it be if your bank account or various different ways people can defraud the system, you put safeguards in place. Just because my bank account hasn't been hacked doesn't mean that I don't put safeguards in place. So everyone understands it for an issue of protecting the sanctity of your vote, so your vote counts. And this is just a typical left talking point of class warfare or us versus them or the 99 versus the 1%. It just falls right in line with the talking points that come out of the DNC. State
Senator Scott Rupp is with me this afternoon. What's your response to the math that they toss out? And by the way, they increased it. I've seen 240,000. Now I've seen 350,000 is what Congressman Clay's news release said the other day about that's how many people would be disenfranchised.
No, what a lot of that is there's discrepancy on the voter rolls, whereas someone maybe has gotten married and hasn't changed their name or something of that nature. And so those would be the people that would not have, to be able to vote because they wouldn't have the right voter ID. You go back to look at what Minnesota is doing, and the state that's tied the voter, your driver's license picture to the part of the electronic poll book, is their DMV records go back 12 years. So even if you're an elderly person that hasn't driven in a decade, they still have your picture and they're using it. So this is being done all over the country in various different forms. And I think they inflate those numbers just to try to scare people when they go out to the polls.
Have you studied the cost of what they're doing in Minnesota and how that would affect us here in Missouri if we got to something like that?
$200,000 is what they anticipate the cost. And what it does, though, is it streamlines it because there's so much technology out there. That's a minuscule cost for something statewide. So it's very minimal cost. And so you're making sure that, and what they actually do in Minnesota is if you come in to vote, and you don't have a photo ID, they take your picture at the polls. So that's one of the things they have their election judges do. And so that, again, cuts down. You're getting a free picture, and they're putting it right in there. So there's other states that are out there that are combining photo voter ID along with new technology. This is just something, again, the newest technology to safeguard your vote. A photo ID is it's on the back of a lot of credit cards now because people understand that just a signature isn't the way to tell if you're exactly who you are.
State Senator Scott Rupp, I appreciate the update this afternoon. Keep us posted on this.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a great one.